Hello, it's Friday morning. Finishing up with some of the Fairies Oracle readings. So this is a Brian, Fraud, and Jessica Macbeth deck. They're beautiful. So what I did was chose the cards for Spirit that wanted dealt out for Friday. So these will be messages pertinent to you today. However, what I'm doing, instead of channeling the messages, I'm reading the actual messages that Brian and Jessica wanted to put out when they created this artwork, so that you can see from another perspective from now going on what the meaning of this card is per this book, so that next time you watch a reading, you'll have that perspective in addition to that reader's perspective, okay? So moving forward, the Journeyman, number 15. Number 40 is Lone Misty. The Tea Lion, number 65. And I'll show you these again in a minute when I do the readings. And when I show you again, you can look at them and see in your own mind if you think they're a positive card, a negative card, how you think it would pertain to your situation or your life before we do the reading, okay? Number 6, the Singer of Connection. And if you've been watching the other readings regarding this deck, I'm going through the whole deck so that people have the true meaning from the book. In case you don't have the book and you don't want to read the book, then I'm just reading the actual meanings for each card. The Roar, this is like the Tower card. Okay? So we're going to start off with number 15. I know I give this explanation in each video, but that's because each video is going out on a different day. I didn't do the whole deck all at once. Didn't know if there would be time in the video for 15, for that many. Okay, so the Journeyman. Adventure, independence, polishing of skills, and travel. All of the great ones, the saints, the Buddhists, and all of those who are filled by the Spirit light have been on this journey. They went into the wilderness, stepping like fools off of the safe path into the waiting hands of their gods and goddesses. This is the journey of life, a pilgrimage that begins in ignorant trust, passes through all of the doubts, fears, ups and downs, probably all of the delusions, and certainly all of the confusions. Through it we learn, slowly, painfully, a new kind of trust, a trust in the process, detaching from the goal, from the outcomes. Our young journeyman, bless him, is stepping out on the journey of life, positively glowing with enthusiasm. Even his toes are sparkling, bright, handsome, and educated. He has completed his apprenticeship in fairy crafts and magics, but he has not yet achieved true mastery of his trade. To accomplish this, he must leave the protection of his master and step out onto his path as an independent journeyman craftsman. He is testing himself and his knowledge in the world. He hopes to eventually achieve the status of master maker. Card number 22. Right now he knows a lot of facts, has all the basic skills, but probably knows less than he thinks he does. He is about to learn about the skills of survival, bartering, persuading, selling and buying wisely, enjoying life, making friends, and at least he doesn't need to learn how to iron his own shirts, because he's nude. He still his name is Owengus, still has lovely, playful, childlike qualities. An Oracle online group member notes that Owengus is playing balance the ball on a stick with the moon, and adds that he seems to have no constraints, sets no boundaries on which he can do, and because he is magical and doesn't set such limitations on himself, he is able to walk on air or water or through the hills, all with the moon nicely balanced both on his stick and in the sky. Our young Owengus must learn to care for himself. No one is looking over his shoulder to see that he does his work right and eats properly. Owengus may take chances and even may make mistakes sometimes, as we all do. But this is how we learn. He is now confronting and being confronted by the real world. Here he will discover that excuses don't buy bread, and that the quality of integrity of one's work and actions are what counts. But he has been well taught and pretty well known this already. Don't tell him I told you, but Owengus sometimes wears a false mustache, hoping that it makes him look more mature. He has romantic dreams of being a great hero, of becoming the supreme master of his craft, and of winning a fairy princess. Some of these dreams will come true, perhaps even all of them. Here we see an innocent being walking trustfully into the situation for which he is not fully prepared, and indeed cannot be fully prepared, or for which his preparation is yet untested by reality. He is innocent of previous practical experience of the path he is now treading, or the realm of life into which he is moving. This card could be called Innocent Encounters for reality, which is by no means a bad thing. His fairy godmother is lurking somewhere just out of sight, as fairy godmothers tend to do. Her expression is both gleeful and worried. Her hair is already whiter than it has been before he began, and she is keeping her wand carefully charged at all times. Although this is his journey, and he must undertake it himself, almost everyone needs and is given a little fairy godmother from time to time. Good-natured innocence attracts fairy guardians. It attracts helpful beings on all planes in all worlds. It may also attract those who would abuse this innocence. But as long as our intentions are good, our guardians will offer good guidance. We are blessed and cared for if we allow ourselves to be. The world is before Owengus with smiles and teeth. Owengus has optimism, cheerfulness, magic skills, and a diligent fairy godmother. Owengus grows within us when we step bravely into the unknown, developing our potential and hope and optimism with an open heart. If you encounter this in one of your readings, such as we have today, adventure, independence, travel, a long path ahead, we hope this card speaks to the need to perfect skills in working and living. But it acknowledges having a sound grounding in the basics. Optimistic, innocent, and willing to learn. Owengus also shows us that intuition serves us well, but only if we pay attention to our intuition. Sometimes we are operating from theory alone, and our knowledge may or may not be well grounded in reality. This card does not necessarily refer exclusively to beginners. It can also signify the progression along a path, moving into the unknown from the known, a new phase in our process. The card may also represent untested concepts or ideas, and suggest a need for balance between the intuitive and the rational as one approaches the unknown. Consider where you are going. What are your long-term goals? What are you doing that is helping you to move towards them? Okay. Number 40. Honesty. Oh, I thought it was lone musty. Honesty. Honesty, compassion, tact, and self-deceit. Just look at him. Could you doubt for a moment that he sees you just as you are and loves you anyway? In plant form, which is how we may see him most often, honesty makes lovely purple flowers in the spring and later on produces them silvery white circular seed pods like small images of the full moon. These little earth moon seed pods remind us to reflect upon our reactions and feelings, to throw light into our darkness, and to deal honestly with ourselves as well as others. Honesty's other botanical name is moonwort, satin flower, silver dollar, moneywort, dollar plant, penny flower, bubonic, and on Monday, the moon's day, he is Lunaria annua. Honesty is said to repel monsters. I don't have any monsters handy to check this out, but I can certainly see the metaphorical truth in it. He is also known as Unshoe, the horse, because of his habits of unshoeing horses who tread upon him. A very fairy thing to do, and who can blame him? He is said to have collected 30 horseshoes from the horses of the Earl of Essex on the White Downs of Devonshire, near Tiverton. Let that be a lesson to you, not to tread honesty underfoot. Okay. If you get this in a reading, honesty is a reading speaks. In a reading, he speaks unsurprisingly of the need for straight dealing and truth in representation. We need to be scrupulously honest here, making certain that there is no room for confusion or misunderstandings, no fuzzy edges. Both written or verbal agreements need to be completely clear. Assumptions may not be as well understood by all parties as we are assuming, and they need to be tested for comprehension. On a personal level, honesty reminds us not only to be clear in what we say and do, but also of what we act and speak with compassion and tact. Brutally honest is not usually true honesty at all, but somehow slanted towards the worst. This honesty, even in the name of tact, is not helpful either. Balancing on the fine line of loving honesty may take some effort, but will provide rich rewards. Honesty, humility, idealism, clarity of mind are some of the advantages of pure honesty. Okay, so stand in your truth. 65, the tree lion. Okay, it's the feline with an F. Getting it right, delayed completions, tidying up loose ends. Brian notes that this is the accusing, offended expression we see on the cat's face, saying, "You know I have my dinner at 5 o'clock." Okay. Brian adds that the feline is also known as a slight accusation or an accusation of slight. One of my cats, the Maggie, is the feline's first cousin and has mastered the family expression. She uses it for all sorts of things, but I have often seen it elsewhere as well. I may even have used it myself once or twice. We know the feline is near nodding his head when we hear remarks like, "I thought you'd have my shirt ironed for me. You said you'd get the brakes fixed," or "You mean that report isn't done yet?" The feline speaks to us when we know we deserve it, but are pretending we don't. He is the voice that whispers in our ears just as we try to settle down with a good book, a new computer game, or favorite leisure activity, and we experience that old familiar guilty feeling. Alcohol only drowns him out temporarily and gives people hangovers as well, so it is not necessarily useful remedy, although it is widely used. In fact, that particular avoidance tactic usually causes the feline to raise his voice even louder the next day. In a particular piercing tone, he makes lists of things we haven't done, shaking his head over them and muttering, "Tisk, tisk. These are the things we could have, should have, and have taken care of by now, but have not." This is his job, and he does it well. Sometimes, though, he just wishes we would do our jobs so that he could go play first. One over the hill gets to kiss the fairy maid, or munch chocolate-covered thistles with his friends, take naps in the heather instead of having to work overtime, nagging us. So if you get this in a reading, it says, the feline looks at us, looks out of his card accusingly, reminding us of things undone, promises unkept, and duties unfulfilled. He says that we can't expect to have things go right when we are trailing so much unfinished business behind us. Dragging that stuff around tires us. It uses up energy that we need for other things. If we would just take care of the things that cause so much mental and sometimes physical clutter, we would suddenly find that we have a lot more energy at our disposal to do things that we really wanted to do, and probably much more cooperation of others as well. He especially suggests that we take care of the little things that matter to others. We will feel so much better when we have done that, and so will he. And fairy secrets are whispered in the shape of a wing or a fairy's hue, Brian. Number 6, Singer of Connection. So remember, as I'm reading these, this is actually the reading for today's energy for you. Those that come to the video would probably need to hear it for that day. I know we don't usually read from the book, so just wanted to go through the whole deck. We're doing the whole deck. All right, number 6, the Singer of Connections, spiritual connections, karma, balance, and empathy. This singer supports all connections, the web of light between all beings, all particles, and between the past, present, and future. It brings wholeness to apparently duality and combines all energies, uniting all that was, is, or could be. When we lose awareness of this connection in our lives, we feel isolated, lonely, and barefoot. Yet the energy is there. We only need to be open to it. There are emotions that can help us open up. Love, compassion, trust, and so on. There are other emotions that we tend to close down around unless we make a special effort to keep our hearts open. As you can probably guess, these emotions are feelings such as jealousy, anger, grief, and others of similar pain nature. Yet sometimes these very emotions, when carried to an extreme, cause us to break down and then break through to the song of ecstasy. This is a risky way to go, as well as an extremely difficult one, because more often the breakdown just stays broken for a long time, and then we retreat back to a more crippled version of our original self. A far better way to become more aware of our essential holistic nature is to work at keeping our hearts open, seeing relationships being earthed and centered and connected. In a meditation, someone, and I suspect it was the singer, asked me to let go of all my defenses. I argued that surely we needed defenses in this world in order to survive. I was firmly but lovingly told, it is only by letting go of all your defenses that you become invulnerable. That gave me such a strong shock of recognizing the right of it that I couldn't even breathe for a moment. But then, still reluctant because it sounded like a big job, I muttered that I didn't think I knew how to do that, or even but all my defenses were. I was assured kindly that I would receive help if I asked for it, and I know that you will be given the same aid too. You just have to ask for it. So if you get this card in your reading, through the power of the singer, all connections are made, held, and released as appropriate. In a reading, the singer indicates the connection of things, especially reconnecting those that have been surrendered. I think it's supposed to say surrendered. It is unifying and reunitifying. It tells us that we need to be aware of the connections between different aspects of the issue under discussion, as well as the connections between the people linked by it. We also may need to build more connections, a network of mutual support. The presence of the singer of connections in a reading indicates support and strength flowing through these connections between those involved. Singer of intuition. I need the number 7. Number 7. The singer of intuition. Perceptiveness, ocular powers, and awareness with trust. Okay, the song of the singer of intuition carries all of the information there is. Some people believe that this information, often called the Akashic Records, is like a great filing cabinet or library in the sky that we have to go to in order to get information intuitively or psychically. We needn't go anywhere. The song is sung within our blood and flesh and bones, just as it was within the rest of the universe. If at humanity's present stage of evolution we consciously heard the song in all its fullness, we would be overwhelmed. Our minds burned out by that energy. A kind universe has led us to a place in our development where we can consciously hear only bits of the melody. Usually we must develop skills in actively listening for it, but occasionally a few notes resonate so closely with our own being that we become aware of them. These involuntary experiences are what we call hunches or intuition or extended sense perception. We can improve our reception of the song by learning to be very still, to listen in a special way. Later, part 3 gives techniques for using this and other oracles as amplifiers for the song. What we get for practicing stillness through meditation and listening, just ask and then listen, is the ability to understand and interpret the symbols, the symbolism beyond the material symbols, or oracles and omens themselves. Stars, omens, portents, movements of the stars, mice, these are all part of one piece, the one song, and therefore part of us as we are of them. Understanding them truly is just a matter of learning to be still and to ask and to listen. Someday, as we evolve and grow, we will be able to hear more and more of the song and base our actions and choices on great knowledge. Patience and practice are the key to all of the subtle, clear senses. The clairaudience is clear of hearing, clairvoyance, clear of seeing, clairsentience, clear of knowing, telepathic, hearing each other without words, precognition, knowing before glimpses of a probable future. Okay, so if you get this card in a reading, the presence of this singer of intuition indicates that information is available to us if we will just listen to our own inner knowing. Perhaps we have already known or heard it but still doubt our subtle senses. The singer says this is the time to really listen to our intuition. What are our feelings, hunches, intuitions about the situation? It is desirable that we should seek solitude, meditate, and practice stillness and patience. This is a time for inward focus, a time to open the inner door to intuition. There are a lot of in this sentence because important answers are to be found within ourselves. The presence of this singer in a card spread radiates special illumination and insight on the other cards around it. Not all meanings are meant to be clear at once. Some ideas take time. Some words are designed to lead us on inner journeys and the truth hidden deep inside them. Number 10, the Singer of Healing, number 10. The Singer of Healing, healing of body, mind, and spirit. The song of the singer has the power of healing deep wounds of the spirit. Wounds that can destroy mortals or immortals alike. Faith betrayed, love dishonored, trust abandoned, and other injuries of the spirit all inflict serious wounds, which are reflected in the body's illnesses and injuries. Through the song of healing, we may be restored and renewed, but only if the wounded one is prepared to forgive and let go, returning to the love and compassion. As always with all gifts of spirit, healing is offered, not forced, and requires active participation on our part. True healing must take part on all levels at once, body, mind, and spirit. These levels are inextricably linked, all one piece, and we cannot expect to change one without changing the other. Our bodies do not do things all on their own. The links between different aspects of being are many, complex, and often obscure, and yet the principle of healing them is simplicity itself. We need only to let go of the things that are hurting us and nurture ourselves with the things that benefit us. So simple, so difficult. The song of healing is present everywhere, and like the other aspects of the great song of ecstasy, it is without limit. Healing can seem so complex as we dig our way through all our blocks and resistances and old stuff, but in the end it is simply let go and open up. Please see page 201 for a little more on healing. Learn everything you can from others. There is a lot of good information out there. Just keep the essential simplicities of the process in mind and you won't go wrong. So if you get this in a reading, this is the healer's card, and its presence in a reading may speak of healing to be given or of healing to be received. The circumstances and process of reaching well-being may seem easy, or they may bring great challenges. In either case, we are asking to participate in our own healing as we are strengthened by the singer. More usually, this singer speaks of both giving and receiving, because we cannot truly and freely give without receiving as well. Healing is something that flows through us, not from us, and as such, we are inevitably affected by its passage. Drawing this card tells us of both a need and an opportunity for healing ourselves and perhaps others as well. As Warren, one of my teachers, said, healing is not something you do, it's something that you are. Okay. And the Tower card, and this was for Friday morning, the Roar, 52. Okay, the Roar. Wild energy, pure potential. Once upon a time, there were 3 pink boys, more or less, and a Rar, who all played in Brian's son's Toby's bedroom. They liked the midnight tea parties, the magical ambience, and of course they liked Toby. Unfortunately, the pink boys got too rowdy and Brian had to throw them out into the garden, which was where they belonged anyways. The roar learned from that experience in a roarish way, and it quieted down a bit during the midnight hours. Roars are not naughty or wicked, just very energetic. They are also not very discriminating. They like to join into whatever excitement is going on and add energy to that. In a way, they are pure potential. They are pure energy, and they are potential. Whatever is happening, they cause it to get more energized. They add energy to everything, bad or good. Roars are attracted to mobs rioting and to meditation groups rising towards ecstasy and to any other strong energy state. Roars are a bit like triggers in a Pooh story. They bounce, they zoom, they go off on wild tangents. Brian hasn't painted a wild tangent yet, as far as I know, but I know what they look like, having encountered more than my share. Think of the roar of a growling dog, the roar of an engine revving up, the roar of a purring cat, and the roar of the R in the roar, as I say, roar. Don't discriminate. It is up to us to do that. They put live spark into whatever is happening. It is our choice what we do with it. All right, if you get this card in a reading, a roar in your card encourages you to be especially attentive to what you're doing with your energy and intentions. Don't get carried away by the roar's bouncy enthusiasm, but do take advantage of the energy. You can accomplish a great deal with the energy being made available to you. This is a good time note that the roar is not grounded and is not meant to be grounded, but humans need to keep their feet firmly on earth. When you encounter this roar, breathing slowly, center, earth yourself. Be clear about your objectives and then go for them. All right, and yes, all those R's and R's were really in the book. So that is your reading for Friday morning. I hope you have a blessed day.